Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 New Jersey International Film Festival interview series with the filmmakers. Today we have Maria Niro. She's the director of The Art of Unwar, a wonderful documentary on an amazing artist. And we're going to be talking to her for the next 20 or 25 minutes about her movie. We also have Izzy Bonvini here. She's one of the New Jersey International Film Festival jurors, and she's going to be helping me ask questions of Maria. But before we jump into the Q&A, I just wanted to let you know that the New Jersey International Film Festival is in its 27th year, and the 2022 version will be taking place between June 3rd and June 12th. We're a hybrid festival. We will be screening all of the films online for 24 hours on their show date. And then a number of the films, the ones that are on Friday and Saturday, are going to also have in-person versions at our state-of-the-art facility, Voorhees Hall, room 105, which is located at 71 Hamilton Street in New Brunswick, New Jersey, on the beautiful Rutgers University campus. It's about a block away from the New Brunswick train station. And we will have screenings on Friday nights at 7 p.m. And then on the two Saturdays, there'll be 5 p.m. shows and 7 p.m. shows. Each show is different. And you want to check our website, which is njfilmfest.com, to get more information. And I'll show you how to do that at the end of the Q&A. So welcome, Maria. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of this film. How did you get involved in making this wonderful film about Krzysztof Wodiczko, a wonderful artist, an interventionist? So tell us about his work.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for choosing this film, which I think is very, very timely. I promise I didn't plan it this way at all. But, you know, the film began in a way like about a decade ago when I was documenting one of Krzysztof Wodiczko's art interventions, which was the Lincoln. Sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
I didn't realize that.
Sometimes my cat comes in and says hello too, but it's okay. We like the spontaneity of these Q&As.
Yeah. Okay. I was filming his Abraham Lincoln War veteran projection, which is in the film, and it's an important art intervention that I think really explains Wodiczko's position on war, and also gives you a great example of what an art intervention is and how he approaches it through social practice. And that's where I met him. And so I started to film this thinking that I'd make like a short documentary. And this is very common with like art documentarians, you know, who start these kinds of things. And then when I really looked into all his work that he had done and saw this like rich body of work, I was like, oh, this really needs to be longer, like not 5 minutes, but like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then when I saw all the work that he had done, you know, I started connecting the dots, all the work that he had done denouncing war, basically. And something that I'm just so passionate about. And I thought this could be like a 60-minute documentary. And the documentary in itself could be an intervention as well, prompting the viewer to question war. Because I feel that we don't question war enough until it begins to affect us personally. That's when we start to, you know, look and see how wrong it is, you know. And so that's kind of like how it began, and it was a very long project to document, because Wodiczko's work takes each project takes about a year to form and to finalize. It involves community organizations, which is part of the social practice. It entails working with war veterans or homeless people, which you'll see in the film, or immigrants. And so, it's a very long process. He goes to whatever country this occurs in several times. And of course, I didn't have any funding. And what I found was that not only people don't want to fund art documentaries, it's like they don't sell, right? So, but documentaries about war, that's even more rare. That's why you see less and less films that feature artists or talk about art, and you see less films that speak about war. And I don't know of any film that's out there that is questioning what Wodiczko is questioning, which is the institution of war. And so he's calling for the abolition of war. I don't see any films that are done in the context of a social practice. So I kind of feel like it's a unique film because his position is unique. I don't, next to like artists like Nancy Spiro and Golub, her husband, her partner, you just really don't see a lot of artists who have a rich body of work in denouncing war.
Yeah. Leon Golub was a Rutgers professor. He taught at Mason Gross School of the Arts for many, many years. And there certainly was an affinity to Wodiczko's work, but Wodiczko's work is much more about reappropriating these statues and these memorials that celebrate war and kind of turn them on their heads, right? I mean, the Abe Lincoln memorial has projections of veterans who talk about having to secure body bags, and really makes you rethink the whole, the whole structure that we have in place. I mean, just this Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, which had been taken for granted, completely was taken, looked at differently after the riots in Charlottesville. So I think Wodiczko was ahead of the curve, like you pointed out. But Izzy, do you have a question for Maria?
Yes. So you mentioned that, there are less and less films about art being made, but also art like really is all around us, and art, like especially Krzysztof's art, was definitely like impactful to the people who were witnessing it. And you included some of those shots of people like viewing and experiencing these interventions in real time. So I'm wondering just what that was like for you to capture, and a lot of them were having very like visceral emotional reactions. And did you ever have a similar reaction to any of his work?
I did. I mean, I got to witness his work in a little bit differently than how most people see his work. I was mainly watching it behind the lens. When I documented the Abraham Lincoln War veteran projection, I went there to the site, I don't know, like 10, 15 times. Like, I think I have like 10 or 15 nights of footage that I documented. And I didn't know what was to come of this, but I just wanted to document how people were watching this. A lot of it was like observational, a lot of it was, documenting it. And I saw kids especially work, because they see the statue moving and, they don't know, but they were like so captivated by it. And I found that very interesting. And I saw people in all kinds of age group stop. And this is not just with the Abraham Lincoln. It also happens with other projects that I documented. There's a project I documented in Northern Ireland about the Troubles that it's not in the film, but it's going to be in the DVD bonus. And by the way, the film is available to educators through New Day Films, which is newday.com. Just put in The Art of War and it'll pop up, and it can be streamed and licensed to educators or community organizations, and any kind of organization actually can stream it. So anyway, I saw people being really, it had such an impact on people and me at the same time. And there's something about being amongst a bunch of people who are being moved by something all at once that's very powerful. And that's what I think Wodiczko does. That's very intriguing and interesting to me. He certainly knows how to make people stop in their tracks and look at what's happening and think. But I also saw people walk away and not wanting to hear it or see it, And I think those people are just as important because that's kind of like what makes our situation, that adds on to the perpetuation, to those who wish to remain silent. Of course, you have people that are busy, they don't have time, but, it's really, it's interesting to me, and I found it really impactful in to such a degree, like I said, that I wanted to investigate his work even more. And when I put two and two together and saw who he was, he really is an important artist. I think John Carson of Carnegie Mellon said to me, I think he's one of the most important artists in the past 50 years. And I think it's true because, you mentioned like his work, what he does with monuments. And Krzysztof doesn't take monuments that are, Confederate monuments per se. That's never really been his thing, But he has worked with all the monuments that he has worked with are questionable in the sense that they perpetuate war in his mind. And so I like that, how he takes, how he inverts. I think like a big part of his art is that he turns it upside down, which is why the film is called The Art of War, which is based on the book, The Art of War. He kind of topples this idea of like what these things are. And the heart of the film is the Arc de Triomphe, the World Institute for the Abolition of War, which is a proposal that Wodiczko has on the Arc de Triomphe, where he wants to do an intervention that would entail building a fortress around it, sort of like what you see at the Centre Pompidou in Paris. And this would have scaffolding or elevators, there's all different kinds of plans and models in the proposal. But basically, it would allow you to walk through the monument and see it up close to investigate it. And why? Why does it need to be investigated? Because, as Wodiczko says, the monument to war perpetuates war. It's a war machine, he says, and it's what's inscribed onto the monument is what perpetuates war, which is this whole narrative that in order for us to get to peace, we need to have war. And that's the biggest propaganda, because nothing could be further from the truth. You get to peace by ending war, not having war. So it's a propaganda to justify why we have wars,
And to perpetuate it as well.
Exactly. And so I love this project. This is the project that really lured me in. I mean, I thought, what he does to the monuments and making them speak, it's like that's only to grab your attention. It's not about the monument moving and coming to life. It's about what he's doing to history, what he's saying on history, what he's inscribing on, him projecting war veterans on the Lincoln statue. I mean, come on, that's like historical, right? And also this project, the Arc de Triomphe, the World Institute for the Abolition of War, is that he wants to use it in a way where you start to think of this monument for what it really is, and to go to the site. He envisions all these people that go to the monument, which it's like 1 million people annually, I think it's something like that, who take pictures of themselves in front of the monument, not even knowing what this monument even says. And so this information is going into our psyche. For Wodiczko, psychology is very important. It's a very big part of his work, which is another thing that I liked about his work, And so they're just completely oblivious to like what this monument is really about. And so he wants to turn it around so that when you go and visit, you'll partake in his agenda. And his agenda is to question war and try to get to peace without having war, and to abolish war, because as he says, war is already illegal. Like what Russia is doing in the Ukraine is just as illegal as the United States having gone into Iraq. You can't just get up, make up a story, and invade a country. That's completely illegal. And so we have that, but we don't enforce it, and so we need these kinds of projects to make us think a little bit more, because the organizations that are out there in trying to stop war, whether it's the United Nations or NGOs, they don't really use art projects or pedagogical projects. I mean, I've been to like at the UN where they've had meetings through NGOs where they talk about that, like, yeah, we need to involve art if we want to get people interested in, but they never actually have these programs.
Well, the other thing I liked about one of the commentators in your film said it was important to take out art off the wall and into the streets. And I think, the whole elitist idea of a museum means that it's ghettoed, and the people that really need to see the art don't get to see it. And by him bringing it off the wall, out of the museum and onto the streets, he's able to do that. I mean, it becomes public art.
Yes. Engagement art and public art and public projections and public art interventions, that's exactly the nature of that kind of art, is to reach more people, to make art accessible. And of course it makes sense that for Wodiczko for this to be a social practice. This is involving people. It's not just about him inviting the public to be a part of this. I mean, he literally works with the homeless, with the immigrants, or with war veterans to partake in the creation of the project. So they become co-creators in a way, And what they get out of it, when I've interviewed them and spoken to them, is that they get a chance to, a lot of these people, they have PTSD, they're damaged from the war, especially the veterans, and the, moral damage is completely devastating. So they get a chance to speak about their pain, to speak about what war did to them, and to also, to connect with people, because we tend to look at damaged people as like, no, we don't want to want to connect with them. And so that's another thing. That's what's so different than just having a sculpture, say, in the middle of a park that's beautiful and it's like adding to the beauty of the park. So that's like kind of like design, right? Which is fine. Art can be anything you want it to be. But what I like about engagement art is that it engages the public, and then you start to shift your mind of how you think about social issues, because a lot of engagement art really connects to social issues.
Yeah. Maria, Izzy, do you have another question for Maria? Because our time is winding down.
Yes. So kind of speaking of what war does to people, can you talk to us a little bit about the coffee shop scene, where Krzysztof becomes like very panicky due to the loud noises, and mentions that, I think the quote was something along the lines of like, "I don't remember the war, but the war remembers me." Can you talk to us a little bit just about what that was like, and if you were aware of this sensitivity prior to that moment?
Yeah, that coffee shop scene was instrumental in a lot of ways, and gave me a lot of information, because Krzysztof is a very private person. It took another reason why this film took so long was that it really took a long time to get him to open up. He can talk hours on end about philosophy, the theory of his art, and especially war and the social issues. Like, he's very erudite. He's been a professor all his life. He's been in institutions all his life. But to talk about his feelings, that was like, pulling teeth. And I was trying to figure out, like, why is he so, closed in certain areas and open in other areas? And I think in that coffee shop, it kind of came out that he was very much affected by war. And this is, I was starting to detect and starting to figure out. And so when he came out with it, he was sharing with me, his inside. Like, this is how I am. I'm like this. I'm agitated. Noise, affects me like it affects the war veterans I work with, because he himself has this trauma inside him that, when he was a child. Of course, later on into the film, you learn what this trauma is about. No, actually, before the coffee shop film, you learn that he was born in the midst of the war, a few days before the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, which was the Jewish resistance against the Nazis in Warsaw, Poland. And so his mother was giving birth to him as, these flames, the city was inflamed, and then the father, who was a Christian, his mother was Jewish, his father was a Christian, was helping Jews escape. So this is an incredible story of his life, which is so very important. And to me, said, it's ironic that he's born out of this moment of resistance, and he ends up spending a lifetime making art that denounces war, that's about resistance, And so I thought that moment in the coffee shop was just like, I was like, thank you.
And it shows you another side of the artist too, that the impact that all of this is having on him and his surroundings informs on the work that he's presenting. Now, we pretty much have run out of time, so I just wanted to share screen and show you guys how you can buy tickets to this wonderful film. I'm gonna do that right now. Share screen. There we go. We come up here. We make it a little bit bigger. So our website is njfilmfest.com, and you would click on current events, and normally everything would be here. But because we're a hybrid festival, we are partnering with Eventive, who is our streaming provider, and they stream for A24 and Lionsgate and all these other distribution companies. So they're really great, and we've never had any technical issues with them, and we've been using them through the pandemic. So we stuck with them, and when you get to this page, you would click on buy tickets, which will bounce you to this site, which has all the basic information about the festival. This is the welcome page. You want to get a linear sense of the schedule, you click on schedule. You want to get an overview and buy tickets, you click on the tickets part. And then this will open up. And as you can see, we have a shot of the Abe Lincoln project. And there's two films that are being shown along with, well, The Art of War on War is being screened with Malka, which is a film about a Jewish folk artist from New York City, which is a short film. So both of those films will be available on June 3rd for 24 hours, and there'll be an in-person screening at 7 p.m. and Maria's going to be there, and we'll do another Q&A for our audience after the screening. So stick around and come and check it out. And you can buy tickets just by clicking the pre-order now. If you want to give it a gift, you can click on this. And so it's pretty straightforward. You want any other information, you can always go to the film guide, which lists all the films with posters, and you can find the basic information about the movies here too. And then you want to go, The Art of War is here. And you want to get a linear view, you can go right here. And so here's a picture from Malka. And here's a better picture where you can see the projection onto the statue. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. I want to say thanks to both of you guys for hanging out for the last half hour. And thanks so much, Maria, for giving us more insight in your terrific movie. It's our festival opening screening. So please join us on June 3rd at the live screening if you can come. You do have to wear a mask and you do have to be vaccinated to get into the screening site. That's what we're working with Rutgers University, and that's what they've mandated at the time of the taping of this interview. And so anyway, hope you come and hang out with us. Thanks so much again, Maria, and thanks so much, Izzy.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for choosing this film to be part of the festival. I look forward to being there in person. Of course, you know, in live projections are amazing, and I look forward to it.
Thanks again. Thanks.